This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane. This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is the Basic Bachelor, Rubi Roberts, and you're here with Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J. And it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Basic Bitch Slayer, Rubi Roberts.
Hi, thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic, starting 2023 off strong.
Well, that's good to hear. And what do you have coming up?
So, I am currently getting ready for a very, very busy March. I have 3 different shows at the moment. One for CCW, Copenhagen Championship Wrestling, with their second ever show in Scotland as a Danish company. I am really excited for it. I've got a rematch with Daisy Jenkins coming up, and that's on, like I said, the 4th of March. We've also got Stockholm Championship Wrestling. So I will be going over to Stockholm on the 11th of March to wrestle Regina, which I am very excited for. I think it's going to be one hell of a match. And then I'm in Newcastle just after that with wrestling in Newcastle, facing the one and only Lana Austin.
Yeah, it sounds like a really busy March. Or as they say, March isn't like a lion, no?
I'm really sorry. Could you say that again?
It's like the term March isn't like a lion.
Oh, right, okay, I've never heard that before. That's really interesting.
But no, it sounds very interesting. And
thank you very much.
And where can we find you on social media and merchandise if you got it?
Social media, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Rubi Roberts _ BBS or Rubi Roberts BBS. Rubi spelled RUBI. And on Facebook, I'm just Rubi Roberts, and TikTok, I'm Rubi Roberts 0.
You said TikTok?
Yes.
You're doing the Wednesday Adam dance on TikTok?
No, I have not. I'm definitely not a natural born dancer. I love wrestling, but I think that's about it. I don't do dancing.
Oh no. All right. You mentioned it. You work for Copenhagen Championship Wrestling and Pro 2. Can you tell us?
Yes.
Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
I have a great relationship with both companies. I really enjoy working for both of them. With Pro 2, I got to do one of their first ever shows, and I've managed to sort of sustain a good relationship with them throughout. I really enjoy working with the guys. It's a fantastic company, and CCW has been an experience. CCW gave me my first international booking. They are just a fantastic company. They feel more like family at this point. Just full of some of the best international talent. They're really worth checking out on YouTube.
Yeah, and they're in Copenhagen, Denmark, correct?
Yes, Copenhagen, Denmark. I had never actually been to Denmark before. It was a really interesting experience. It's a beautiful country. Well, Denmark in general is a beautiful country. Copenhagen in particular was a really beautiful place, and the crowds there were fantastic. They have so much energy. They get so involved. They really are part of the whole experience.
Did you see any difference between Scottish pro wrestling in terms of Denmark pro wrestling?
So there's a lot of similarities. I did feel there was it was more of a feeling of, it felt like Scottish wrestling about 10 years ago, the sort of energy in the room, the way the crowd were. It sort of, to me, felt like wrestling about 10 years ago in Scotland, where there was a sort of new energy. It was a newer thing to come to us. It's starting to really flourish. It's already been seen in Denmark, but it's really starting to come to the forefront now. And it's electric. It's just got this brilliant up and coming feeling to it.
Right. And anybody that's ever listened to the show knows that we're foodies. What are you eating?
Excellent.
What are you eating in Denmark?
So Denmark actually have a lot of hot dogs, but they're more like different kinds of sausages. I noticed that everywhere you go, there's like a wee deli counter, shops, petrol stations, everywhere, where they have all these different types of hot dogs, which were fantastic. I haven't managed to try a huge amount of different foods. With being on the road and stuff, you kind of end up snacking a lot, or just trying to get food when you can. So for me, it's mostly been rest stop hot dogs.
All right. Well, I've heard that they have like incredible cookies in Denmark. From another guest.
I haven't tried them yet, but I really, really want to. There's actually so much that I want to try when I'm over there, but because you're always so busy,
right,
you don't really get a chance to explore much. I'm going to need to try and book an extra day or two the next time I go over, because I want to experience the food so much. I'm also a massive foodie.
I think, I mean, one of the best ways to experience the culture is to eat the food.
Definitely. I did try Danish bread, which was very different from British bread, which is traditionally quite soft and fluffy. Their bread was like a lot more dense, and I think it had like barley or something through it, but it was really nice.
Ooh, interesting. All right. Now you mentioned that in March you're wrestling Lana Austin.
Yes.
What does that mean to you to be given that opportunity to wrestle one of the best known UK wrestlers out there today? And what's your mindset going into the match?
So it's a huge opportunity for me. Lana is someone that I've had my eye on for a really long time. Like you said, she's one of the most well-known wrestlers in Britain at the moment. She's just this huge personality, and she is not to be messed with. I have been studying her matches. I've been going through footage, getting ready for the match, and I honestly have the absolute utmost respect for Lana. I am fully expecting it to be, again, a fight, because if I'm going to go down, I'll go down swinging. If I'm going to come out on top, I'm still coming out on top swinging.
I love that attitude.
We've got to fight to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might just surprise Lana and get the W.
Do you know, that would be fantastic. Like, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to give it my all. It's a huge, like I said, a huge opportunity for me, and I am training, I am preparing, and if I did get the win, it would mean an indescribable amount. It would be a huge deal for me personally. Given the amount of work and everything that I've gone through to get to where I am with wrestling, that would just be like the cherry on top of absolutely everything. But at this point, that would just be fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Your cousin is also a wrestler, Bobby Roberts.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, he is.
what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of having family in the same profession as yourself?
So advantages to it, Bobby was actually the one that got me back into wrestling. I tried it when I was younger, but I got quite a serious shoulder injury and I had to stop. And in that time, I developed a chronic pain condition. It was a whole thing. And it was actually Bobby who said to me, look, you've tried everything else. Do you want to try wrestling to see if you can get some movement back in your, because I used to have a walking stick. So he was like, do you want to see if you can use wrestling to rehabilitate yourself, to try and get some movement back in your legs? Like, we'll give it a go. And he pushed me really hard, and I now don't need that stick. And it was a massive, massive thing that I never thought I would achieve. And the only sort of reason that even came about was because of Bobby, because he was the one that was like, no, you can do it. Like, you can do this. But by the same token, he was also my trainer for 4 years, and he pushed me hard, man. He always wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting like nepotism. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't going soft on me. Like, I had to do everything 10 times harder. I had to go for longer. I was in every other day at training, if not 6 days a week when I could. Like, and he would be hard on me, but it's been a massive benefit to me as well. So yeah, those are kind of the same thing, but the sort of best and worst part of it.
I could also imagine when you're in the ring with him, you could hit him a little harder.
Oh God, yeah. Like, we love each other, but we batter lumps at each other. Like, it's the advantage as well as of working with somebody that you know, like, no matter what, you can trust them. Like, he's someone that I've worked with so much as well in the ring, training, preparing, like, over the last sort of the first 4 years of my career, that, like, it's really a special thing to be able to just get in the ring and you know you can work with that person no matter what happens. Like, just even on the fly, just go in, just boom, work with that person, and it's magic.
Oh, absolutely. And I noticed that the one match that caught my eye was that Bobby teamed with Emily Hayden, and you teamed with
Yes.
David Devlin. I mean, shouldn't those roles
Yes.
be reversed?
Well, at that point in Respect Pro Wrestling, I'm not going to lie, I'd taken a bit of a huff with Bobby. We had a bit of a falling out in the ring. I didn't agree with the decision that was made. I may have slapped him. So we were having a bit of a disagreement at the time, and best place to sort that out in the ring.
Or in some cases on Twitch, no?
Yes. Oh, I do miss the Twitch days. Unfortunately, we're not doing that at the moment, but I do miss the days of torturing each other, pranking each other, just making each other eat some of the worst concoctions of food you could think of. I remember at one point he was trying to convince me that we should get a can of surstrumming, and I was just like, right, no, I've reached my limit. I'm not doing that. Like, I will eat stuff that will burn the tongue off me, but I am not opening a can of that. Absolutely not. Not indoors.
I know that he drew up, like, what, 3 times on the show?
Oh God, I think it was so much more. Like, it was so many times. He's got such a sensitive wee stomach, the poor soul. But yeah, no, he threw up a lot. But at least it was entertaining.
And it's kind of amazing you've never thrown up on the show, no?
No, not once. I am very proud of the fact that I have yet to exercise myself into throwing up. It's something that you see when people are doing their warm up. If it's a particularly brutal one, quite a lot of people will be sick, or what we call in Scotland hitting a whitey. And so far, in nearly 5 years of training, I've still yet to do that. I mean, I've been gassed. I've exercised myself to the point of not being able to move, but I have never once thrown up.
That's incredible. I'm just feeling like gagging right now talking about throwing up, and you're getting thrown up in the ring here and not even a hint of or a sign of throwing up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a weird talent. I've got quite a strong stomach. Like even with smells and stuff. I don't know. It's just or that, or just my body has such an aversion to throwing up that it's just refusing because I'm a stubborn bitch sometimes. So it could just be that.
All right. And there was one time when you made Bobby dress up in drag.
Yes, I did. Oh, Roberta. Yes, that was fantastic. I had lost a deer on the show, on the Twitch channel, where I had to dress in a particular way. There's like a particular sort of style and fashion in Scotland that belongs to a group of people called Neds, or what we would call Neds, where they wear a lot of tracksuits. In England, you'd call them chavs. They wear a lot of tracksuits. Typically, the makeup is quite heavy and the wrong colour. You would draw your eyebrows on really, really dark. It's kind of like the opposite aesthetic to the one that I have.
Okay.
So I then proposed that if Bobby lost, he would have to do the exact same thing. And that is why we put him in drag. He was to dress like a female Ned with the wrong colour makeup, the eyebrows, the lot. And it was just fantastic, to be honest. As his little cousin, for me, just the best revenge. He was not a pretty woman, but he was a woman that
Seems like you got your revenge more on those Twitch streams than actually in the ring.
Yes. No, to be fair, Bobby has years of experience on me in the ring. But generally in life, I seem to be a bit cheekier and get away with a bit more. So it tends to swing in my favour that way. And you know, sometimes I think of him as my big brother, and the younger sibling always gets away with everything. So,
will we ever see the Twitch streams return?
I don't know at the moment, due just to conflicting schedules and life stuff. It's not really worked out time wise at the moment, but you know, you never know. I've been talking about possibly starting my own Twitch channel and inviting other wrestlers on. I'm in the process of looking at getting that set up, but I would love to do it with Bobby again, even if it was a sort of once in a while stream where we brought it back and we got to torture each other and do the same old thing.
All right. Now, you were a part of the first ever women's hardcore match in Denmark, CCW.
Yes.
There's not a lot of things that you could say were a first in pro wrestling today. What did it mean to you to be the first?
That was such a huge moment for me. First of all, it was a new experience. It was the first time I went over to Denmark. It was my first time working international talent. It was actually my first time traveling abroad as an adult myself, which was interesting. But the match itself, it meant so much because, like you said, there's not a lot in wrestling that hasn't already been done. I like to think of wrestling like violent telenovelas, but it's like a lot of the same kind of storylines because when it works, it works. So we work with stuff that's already been done, but this was something that had never been done in Denmark before. Myself and my opponent, Lexi Lux, I mean, we both agreed beforehand that we were going to go out there and we were going to give it everything and we were going to battle lumps out each other. Shook hands, went out, and we did exactly that. And the feeling when I won the first ever women's hardcore match was just, I don't really know how to explain it. It was indescribable. It was this moment of pride, pride myself, pride for the fact that I'd represented Scotland, pride for a whole host of reasons, like the fact that I was told when I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia that like I would be lucky to sort of function like a normal person. And then I did that, and it was something monumental, something that's historical, and it just meant the absolute world to me.
And I can imagine that there was added pressure because it was your first ever international booking as well, as you said.
Yes, it was. So it was exciting. I was really ready for it as well. But there was so much riding on it. It was so important for me that it went well. It was so important that I made my trainers proud as well. I was representing LKS Dojo and Liu King Shark, and it was extremely important for me to, like I said, represent Scotland and represent my school, represent for everyone, and do a good job.
And I mean, it was a hardcore match. Is hardcore matches something Ruby Roberts is more interested in doing now?
Yes, it's something that I'm looking to do more. I basically want to experience as much different kinds of wrestling as I can. That's one of the reasons that I want to sort of travel as many different places to wrestle as I can, because it interests me the different way that different countries have developed their techniques, the way they train differently, the way that there's different psychology in different places as well, and hardcore matches is another element to that. And it's a sort of level up. It's a bit more extreme, a lot more adrenaline, but it's something that I definitely want to do more in my career.
What about death matches?
So that's where I'm not sure. A lot of people don't know, but I am a parent. So with death matches, I am a little more hesitant just because there is a much sort of higher level of danger with death matches. There, you've got potential broken glass, light tubes, all sorts. For me, I don't know if I would go that far, but then there's also that little part of me that itches, that's the wee part of my wrestling brain going, yeah, no, you're going to have to try it. Like, you're going to have to give it a go at some point. Like, you're going to have to. Like, you have to. So, I don't know. We'll see. At the moment, I'm not, but we'll see what happens in the future.
All right. Well, we'll put a pin in that for right now.
Yes, aye. We'll review it in 6 months.
Exactly. All right. Can you tell us about the Powerhouse Bit Slayers?
Yes. So, Respect Pro Wrestling. Emily Hayden and myself had a long-standing feud in Respect Pro Wrestling, and management basically decided to give us a tag match where I was with the plant-based powerhouse Ellie Armstrong, and we came out of that match victorious. Some people complained about the ending, but do you know what? The ref counted it. So, as far as I'm concerned, it was a perfectly fine one. But I really enjoyed working with Ellie, and I really want to work with her again. She is, it says it in the name, she is a big, strong lass, and she really knows what she's doing in that ring. I've been her opponent a couple of times as well, and my God, she gives as good as she gets. I always thoroughly enjoy wrestling her, but I'm always so sore the next day. Just the two of it just go in and give it everything.
So there is a potential Powerhouse Bit Slayers reunion in the future.
You never know. I would like there to be. I definitely would like there to be. I think we make a really good team, and I think, do you know what? We've got a cool name. We've already got the name there.
Yeah.
You know, could just go for it. But yeah, no, I really hope that it does happen in future. I really like Kelly. I really respect her as a wrestler. So yeah, I'm open to that.
I mean, how could you not with a tag team name like the Powerhouse Bit Slayers? I mean, it's
Exactly.
it's everything you need to know.
I know it's such a strong name in itself. I mean, we're really just going to have to do it just for the name alone.
Yeah. Alright. That brings us to our next segment. Ruby Roberts' Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the road and weird, crazy, and bizarre things sometimes happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh, it depends. Well, it depends. I have one. Most of the trips so far, there's not really been anything that's gone horrendously wrong yet, or hilariously askew. We did have, unfortunately, on the show where I did the first ever women's hardcore match for CCW, one of my fellow LKS wrestlers, Logan Lee, did break his elbow in 3 places.
Ooh.
So during his match with Luke King Sharp, there was something went. I think he landed on his elbow and didn't quite realise it was broken at first. Finished the match, got to the end of the match, did the finish, got backstage and sort of went, my arm's a bit sore. We're like, right, okay, are you sure you're all right though? And he's sort of like, yeah, my arm's just a bit sore, it's okay. But it was like kind of visibly pink at the time, but it wasn't bruising. So we were like, oh yeah, no, he's just sprained it a wee bit. So the next day, we're all going to go to a training seminar in Sweden, in Malmo, with Svensk Wrestling. And we say to Jamie, we get him up for the train, and he's like, nah, man, I can't do it. And we're like, no, come on, don't be a wimp, come on. It's just a hurt elbow, you'll be fine, come on, you can write notes if it's that bad, like, just come with us. He's like, nah, I can't do it. So we left him behind, but I felt kind of bad because we were pure giving him a hard time. We're like, oh, it's just a sore elbow, you're fine. And then the next day we're headed home, we're walking about, going for the flight, and he's like, yeah, no, this is really starting to hurt. And considering we found out that he'd like broken it in 3 places, I mean, he really wasn't complaining that much. He was just every so often being like, yeah, this is sore. Poor guy, when he got home, went and got an x-ray, and it turns out, yeah, he'd been walking about with a broken elbow for like 2.5 days, and we'd all been giving him a hard time, like, oh, you're fine, it's just a sprain, you're all right. I felt so bad when I found out. I was like, I'm so sorry, man. There was also like, so how PG do I need to be?
No PG.
Okay.
Or as you want to be.
Okay, so I'll keep it sort of on the more PG side. It's not too bad a story. Essentially, again in Denmark, myself and Luke King Sharp were on a train, and we were travelling to the airport to come home. And we're just sitting there having a conversation. We're both mad about Nintendo, and Mario. So we were just sitting discussing like Mario games and different shops you can go to for collectibles, stuff like that. Just like a normal conversation. And all of a sudden my phone flashes up. I've got an iPhone and it says somebody's airdropped me a picture. And I go to like flick it away, bump the wrong button, and it flashes up. And someone had decided to send me their nudes on the train, but we couldn't tell who it was. And obviously the name that it comes up with is whatever name they've put in. So it was like a stupid nickname. So I then showed this to Blue, and he immediately gets up and just starts shouting like, "Oh, who's sending pictures to my pal?" in the most like Scottish accent that he could muster, just like really angry, just like, "Who's messing on?" And it was so funny because you looked around the train and like we couldn't tell exactly who it was, but there was so many people suddenly like sunk down into their chair, just like trying to disappear, just like I'm not here. So that was honestly just hilarious. Like we never found out who it was, but they clearly got a bit of an embarrassment after the fact.
Sounds like some interesting things happen in Denmark, no?
Yeah, it's like it's a really interesting country, and the people are so interesting as well. It's weird for me as a Scottish person because it's so similar in some ways to Scotland, and their culture is so similar in ways to Scottish culture because obviously there's the Scandinavian connection. That it feels like a second home at this point, but it's also very weird in a lot of ways. Like every so often I'll come across something that's just so bizarre compared to what we would do here. So it's weird, and like it feels like a very connected place to me because of all the similarities and because all the people have been so lovely. But then, yeah, every so often, like, this is a silly one, but in Scotland, we say tomato sauce or red sauce for ketchup. And I went over and I was half asleep. We were on the way to a show. We were driving for like 5 hours and we'd stopped to get food and petrol. And I went in and I asked for a hot dog. And then the guy was like, what sauce would you like on it? And I just start going, red sauce. Not even thinking, like, just totally forgot what I was for a minute. And he's kind of looking at me and then points at mayonnaise. And I'm like, no, the red one. And he's kind of looking at me. I don't know if because I honestly don't know, like, what level of English he had either, because he was sort of very short sentences when he was speaking to me. So I then start trying to say tomato sauce, because in my head it just made total sense to start saying tomato sauce because it's made of tomatoes. So I just start repeating the word tomato sauce over and over again, like such an ignorant foreigner, like just saying it over and over again as if this poor guy is going to suddenly understand what I mean just because I've said tomato sauce like 4 times. My friend, his friend Sebastian, who is Danish, is then behind me in the queue just giggling like a wee schoolboy, just like fully giggling away to himself. And I'm like, what's going on? So I sort of just pointed at the right one, and then they gave me it. And I went outside and Sebastian just comes up to me and goes, the word's ketchup. It's literally just ketchup. And I'm just like, oh, good God, what? I couldn't believe I didn't remember the word ketchup. I was just so adamant that it was tomato sauce.
No, I understand sometimes not knowing the correct words to say in some situations.
Yeah. I think I'm getting a little bit better at it now, but yeah, I have to slow down and consider what I'm saying a little bit more and make sure that I've worded it the right way and not just the Scottish way.
Well, learn how to say ketchup in whatever they speak in Denmark.
Danish, and it is literally like it is just ketchup. Because I then said to him, I was like, yeah, but what's the Danish word for ketchup? And he's going, ketchup. Ah, right, okay. So I'm just being really dense. Okay.
Alright. Now you mentioned it, you have fibromyalgia. How has
Yes.
that hindered your career? And has it helped you in any way in your career?
Ah, okay. So I really like that, because most people wouldn't consider that it might be something that could also be a benefit. So, as I mentioned earlier, when I started wrestling again in 2018, when I started going back to training, my fibromyalgia had developed in a way that meant that I had extreme pain in my legs, which meant that I had a walking stick. I couldn't exercise very much. My weight was skyrocketing as well. I ended up just short of 19 stone. I'm not sure what that is in pounds, but like it's heavy. Like it's obscenely heavy, to be honest.
I think it's roughly around 250 pounds American.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So it's like not a small amount. I mean, it's not the big show, but it's still big. So starting out at that point, it really felt like I had to start, like everyone else was starting at 0 and I was starting at like -10. It was something that held me back very drastically for the first 2 years of training. It was very frustrating because there was people who had started around the same time as me or had like a similar amount of time as me in wrestling, and they were managing to do things I couldn't do yet. They were managing to get things that I wasn't getting. So one of the symptoms of fibromyalgia, which I should probably explain, is a chronic pain condition that's neurological essentially. It's caused by malformations in your central nervous system. So that means essentially your body is just experiencing pain that isn't really there. which I don't want to diminish it, but it's your body is interpreting things as pain. So you're constantly in pain, then your body thinks you're fighting off pain, so it causes things like swelling or other issues. And it held me back a lot. But once I started getting fitter, once I lost a huge chunk of weight, and once I sort of started to really get into a proper wrestling headspace, it started to become something that motivated me. It was something that I knew I had to overcome, and it was something that I knew was going to be a persistent issue for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to let it ruin my life. Like I keep saying, I know I'm going to be in pain every day anyway, so why would I not, have fun and wrestle and still be in pain every day? So I have found that having that thing to rebel against, having that thing where I've been told that I shouldn't be able to do what I can do, where I've been told that I maybe shouldn't do what I'm doing because what if I get injured, or what if I get hurt? I could realistically get injured or hurt in any way, shape or form in any walk of life, depending on how bad my fibromyalgia is that day. Sometimes it's barely an issue, but I'm just sore, and that's fine. And then other times it's an issue where my body doesn't function the way it's supposed to, or I'm really tired. But thankfully, the instances of that have become a lot less since I started wrestling a lot more, and since I started being able to sort of manage my fitness and diet through being able to wrestle and train.
Right. That's incredible. And
Thank you.
I'm just curious, hearing, you said you kind of was starting at -10. A lot of people would take that as, a real discouragement. What's this drive in you to, look at something like that and say, well, I'm starting at -10, but I'm going to go till perfect 100?
I've always kind of been like this. I think it sort of stems from one, just I think I'm just a natural born, like I said, stubborn wee bitch. But also I grew up in quite a small town, and it's a very sort of rural town in the middle of Ayrshire in Scotland. It's I'm trying to think, it's quite a parochial place. And growing up, I was always quite a weird kid. Like, I wasn't the girl that wanted to like play with Barbies or do normal things. I wanted to like go and play in mud and climb trees and go explore and wrestle. Oh God, the amount of times I got into trouble for that when I was younger. But I was forever told by the people around me that I was too weird, or I was too loud, or I was too fast talking, and I was too this or I was too that. And I was also a big raging goth from about the age of 9. So, like, I don't exactly fade into the background. Like, I do kind of draw attention to myself that way. But I think that's almost a rebellion in itself. The more people told me, like, you're too weird, you're too this, you're too that, I think my brain was just like, oh, you think so? Hold my beer, we're going to 10. Like, you think I'm weird now? You just wait. So I've kind of always been like that. Like I mentioned earlier that I have a son. I had him at quite a young age, and I was the exact same because I was still at school, and people had said to me at the time, like, oh, you're going to have to drop out of school now. You can't get qualifications now. You're just going to have to be a stay-at-home mum. Like, that's your life now. And that did not sit right with me. I'm like, yeah, nah, that's not the plan. That's not what's happening. And thankfully, due to support from my family and stuff, I managed to go back to school, and I got all my qualifications, went right to the end of high school, went to university, and it was, I'm not going to lie, a lot of it was fueled by this spite of like, you all told me I can't do this. I will prove every single one of you wrong. yeah, I'm the same with my wrestling. I love doing this. Like, it honestly is something that makes me so unbelievably happy. And the more that I get to do it, the better. If I could literally just spend every day training and wrestling, I would. It would just be my perfect day-to-day life. But like, anytime somebody tells me that I can't do something or that I shouldn't be able to do something, especially in wrestling, because I love it so much, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fully going to prove you wrong. I'm going to be the best basic bitch slayer I can be. I'm going to keep pushing until I am the best that I can be, me personally, not the best of everyone, because everyone else's progress is not my concern. My concern is, how far can I push me? How far can I get? How far in wrestling can I go? So yeah, just using something that myself and Brodie Adler were joking about catchphrases, and we were talking about this, and she came up with the word Spitivation, which is like spite-fueled motivation, where we were basically joking that I had fueled my entire life and entire career thus far on Spitivation, just the need to prove everyone wrong.
I absolutely love that. Spitivation.
I might get it on a t-shirt. I might just start wearing a t-shirt out to the ring.
You definitely should. I love that. That is fantastic. And you mentioned wanting to stick out and you know and all of that stuff. And that's a perfect thing in pro wrestling to have, because I mean, looking at you, the blue hair with the red gear, it's very eye popping for a wrestler. No.
Yes, I put an insane amount of thought into my look during lockdown. So during lockdown, I was in an extremely lucky position in that, because my cousin had the wrestling school and no one was able to go and use it, I could just get the key and go and run drills and spend headspace in my training environment, and really sit and discuss with like Bobby and stuff, how because we worked together at the time, so we were in each other's bubble. Really sort of talk out how I wanted to look, how, like, what is the basic bitch layer? What does the basic bitch layer look like? What is it that's going to make me stand out? And I was like, right, what are the things that I love? What are the things that are important to Rubi Roberts? And I know it sounds like a very abstract way of going about it, but when I was younger, I always wanted blue hair. I always wanted it. I remember watching Angel, which is the spin-off series from Buffy, and there's a character in series 5 called Elena, and she had blue hair and this like really dark burgundy red outfit. And I remember seeing that for the first time. I think I was maybe like 12. And I remember seeing that for the first time and just being so drawn to it. Just being like, oh my God, that looks badass. Like, she looks amazing. And it was something that stuck with me for a long time. And obviously, I base a huge amount of my character stuff and my name, my attitude, my life, my just general personality around Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have been obsessed since it was first on TV. I think I was about 7 when I started watching it. But that was all stuff that I wanted to incorporate into my Rubi Roberts look. And when I was going through different iterations of really complicated designs, things that had bits and pieces, at one point I was debating a cape. I settled on the red and blue because I knew I wanted to do the blue hair, and I knew that red is like a really important colour, but it's also a really bold colour. My name's Ruby, obviously Ruby Red.
Right.
I really wanted it to be like easy association, but like just really striking and eye-catching. And like, to very, very quickly touch on colour theory, when you contrast primary colours, red and blue work against each other so well. Like, they really sort of make each other pop so much that it just seemed like the logical choice. It just had to be.
Oh, absolutely. and you mentioned, when the pandemic started. I'm trying to do the math here, but you debuted in October of 2019. The
Yes.
pandemic started in March. Um,
Yeah.
between March of 2020, when was your next match after that?
So my re-debut, as I call it, because before COVID, like I said, I spent the whole of lockdown working out really what I wanted to do with Ruby and like who am I. Before that, I didn't really know. I hadn't done a lot of soul searching, and uh, I had completely different gear. I had a completely different look, and I had a completely different sort of move set in the ring. It was almost like I was a completely different person. And my next match was, I think, the 27th of August 2021
Oh, wow.
in Lochwinnoch for Respect Pro Wrestling. And in that time, I had lost nearly 6 stone. Yeah, 6 stone. I think that's like 100-ish pounds, I think. But yeah, so I'd lost 6 stone and really sort of, like I said, thought through who I was. I had my new look. I had my more sort of authentic attitude. I finally had done the soul searching when I was given all the time, and it was a very different experience. It was a singles match instead of a tag match, which the one before lockdown was a tag match. This was a singles match between myself and Emily Hayden, and it was completely different. I felt more self-assured in myself. I felt like I had really put the work in to belong in the ring. Like the first time I was so nervous. Like I literally, somebody had to push me out the curtain because I was so nervous. And after lockdown in 2021, when I got the chance to finally wrestle again, nearly not quite a year and a half after the last time I wrestled, it just felt right. It felt like, yeah, no, this is me finally. This is me going out the gate. I'm supposed to be here.
Sounds like the pandemic, as terrible as it was, it kind of helped you, kind of work out the kinks of who Ruby Roberts was in that time. It's kind of like
Yeah, very much so.
an extra
Sorry.
year of practice.
Yes. I always feel bad sort of reflecting on it in a positive way, because it was obviously something that was traumatic for the entire world. So many people obviously lost their lives.
Right.
So I don't want to make it sound like I was having the absolute best time ever, because so many people were going through so much. And during that time as well, I took on work at a food factory because they were desperate for key workers. So I really sort of spent the full of lockdown working to make food for people, to make sure that it was still getting out onto the shelves. It was just a temporary job during that time, because there were so many people off sick or so many people that had to isolate. They were really struggling for people. So I sort of went and offered that due to my previous experience as a butcher. But I spent my entire time doing that. So it was really positive for me, being able to get that time and be able to take that time to really think my way through the problem, and really, like I said, reflect on who I was and like how I wanted to portray that to a crowd, to fans, to anyone. How would I want that to sort of translate to people? And it really was great as well, because like I said, I lost the weight. I could essentially go and train as much as I possibly could during that time, to try and sort of focus on getting fitter, getting stronger, losing the weight, just working on everything, my footwork, my agility, anything that I could do by myself to improve, I did. And I did it as much as possible, including even taking online seminars with the LKS Dojo, which was a great resource for wrestlers during the pandemic, because there were so many people just had no access to anything really. Obviously, we had no access to gyms, we had no access to wrestling schools, unless you were very lucky, obviously. So it was a great facility for wrestlers where we could do online seminars and get, although not the physical experience of being in the person's presence and physically shown how to do things, you could talk through different bits of the business. You could learn things that you maybe wouldn't have learned in like a physical seminar where you're more focused on the actual wrestling and stuff. And it was a really good tool to use for all of that as well during the pandemic.
All right. Now, you can say pass if you don't want to answer this next question.
Okay.
You mentioned having a son.
Yes.
What do you want him to see when he sees you wrestle?
So I've always tried to set an example for my son that you never achieve anything without hard work, but that if you're really passionate about something, that you should throw yourself at it. If you are passionate about something, then you should do everything you can to try and encourage that, to try and make it part of your life. And he seems to have really understood that. He's a really passionate artist. He really enjoys drawing, and he discusses with me because he doesn't actually like wrestling, and it's a great source of sadness for me because I would love the idea of us sitting watching it together, but the only matches he's interested in are the ones that I'm in. We once in a while have a wee sit down, and he'll ask me if we can watch them on YouTube. And what we'll do is we'll sit and discuss it, and he'll tell me what he thinks, and he'll sort of, from somebody who isn't a wrestling fan's point of view, sit and ask questions and ask why things are done the way they are. And it's a really nice way of us bonding because he doesn't really know about wrestling. It's something that I get to sort of teach him about and communicate to him about while we're watching it. Watching me.
Has he been to one of the shows you've competed on?
Yeah, he's been to a few of the shows. Anytime I do a local show that's close enough to where we live, he tries to come along and support me. Like I said, he's not the biggest wrestling fan, but he's an extremely supportive boy. He's just, to be honest, I know I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm very, very proud of him. I think he's fantastic.
All right. Now, you are the basic bitch slayer. Who's
Yes.
a basic bitch in any type of media except wrestling that you would like to slay?
Oh. So I always say that, because I do get asked a lot what basic bitch means, like basic bitch slayer, like what is a basic bitch? And I always say it's an attitude. It's the way you behave. It's the way that you carry yourself. It's the decisions that you make. And there's a few that I would name, but the only one that I can think that is coming to mind right now, and I know it's controversial, and I know that people are going to disagree with me, or some people will, but Andrew Tate. I know he's not technically an actual celebrity, but he seems to have gotten himself celebrity status on things like TikTok and YouTube. To be honest, I think he can just get in the bin. His attitude's stinking, so yeah. That's my answer.
Alright. And you know, obviously Basic Bitch Slayer comes from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Can you tell us
Yes, it
about
does.
your love of Buffy?
Oh, how long have you got? I have been obsessed with Buffy. Like I said earlier, I've been obsessed with it since I was 7. And like, see, when I say obsessed, I mean like I would, if no one was allowed near the TV, no one was allowed near the telly at the time Buffy was on. Originally, it was on BBC Two here, and then it was on Sky, and no one was allowed near the telly. I was so obsessed. I really identified the show. It's obviously aimed it's aimed at everybody, but there's also like that message in there that like girls can be strong, girls can be the hero, and they don't need to necessarily look like China, or they don't necessarily need to look a specific way. Buffy was a typical Valley girl who ended up turning into the strongest saviour of the earth. And it's something that really ingrained on me as a child, that it was like, no, you can do anything. Like, you could literally, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And the show's also got a running theme. It's literally sort of a metaphor for life. It's a metaphor for going through being a teenager. So for me, being a young person watching it and actually then going through that experience, I sort of like almost feel like I've trauma bonded with the show. I feel like we're stuck with each other now. But yeah, no, all of the female characters for me, like I was just obsessed with in all different ways. I wanted so badly to be like Sarah Michelle Gellar, to be like Faith, Buffy, like Willow, all of them. But also, it was really good to watch it because there was always like a moral message as well, which I really appreciated growing up. Like, it was just sort of, I don't know, it was just like my favourite show.
Now, I know that Freddie Prinze Jr. was a part of WWE at one point.
Yes, he was a writer for Raw for over 10 years.
Right. So, did you ever feel like maybe there's a chance we get Buffy on WWE TV?
I may have sort of already tried to tweet him on Twitter because I found out he was opening his own wrestling company, and he wanted to do, it was like a rooftop wrestling show in a specific venue. And I mean, I'm in the wrong country, never mind like the wrong city, I'm in the wrong country. But he put it online, so I sent along a little blurb and a little message and sent my graphic along and sort of said, like, I'm obsessed with your wife, I'm obsessed with her TV show, I am a Buffy-based wrestler, I know that may be weird, but I would really love to come work for you. Obviously, never heard back from him because that was insane, and that is something a crazy person would do. But, you know, the opportunity presented itself, and if you don't ask, you don't get. So, yeah, hopefully I didn't make him think that I was a crazy person, and he just, if I ever get the chance to meet him again, he doesn't remember that I tweeted at him.
Well, excluding the Buffy content, you're not the only one that messaged him.
Oh god, yeah, no, that's true. Like, I know that's the case. I just personally, because normally that is not something I would ever do. Like, with all social media, like I would never sort of take it upon myself to message a celebrity or try and send them anything, because like in my head they're living like their busy life. They're not going to sit and like check through all these things. But you know, when it came to that, and it just was like wrestling and Buffy and Buffy's husband, and oh, it's all coming together. I have to. What else?
No, but like you said, if you don't know, if you don't ask, then the answer is going to be no anyway. And like I said,
Exactly.
You're not the only one. I'm guilty of the same thing.
Well, yeah, you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to try. If you don't shoot your shot, you know, you never know. So, you know, let's just keep going for it.
Exactly. But then again, I message a lot of people on a regular basis and bother them and disrupt their lives of asking for interviews. So it wasn't that big of a deal for me.
Yeah, fair do. See, to be fair, like that is the sort of norm. I'm still very much with TikTok. I have not done a live yet. I was considering doing one earlier while I was doing my makeup, but it's weird. I'm a very outgoing person. I'm very sociable. Like, I love being out in the ring. I love being in front of everyone. But see, when there's not like this exchange, we're talking to each other. There's two voices. There's a back and forth. See, when it's a case of me standing in front of a camera just talking and just like little notes coming up, I don't know why, but that just seems to scare me. Almost like I'm somehow going to mess up a conversation that's one-sided. But I'm going to make myself go over that though, because, you know, like I said, I'm a spiteful wee bitch, and I'm refusing to let it beat me. I just haven't got there yet.
Right. Well, I think it's time for the colossal question. they're making a movie about you. A lot of big names are signing on to produce. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the Ruby Roberts wrestling movie up to this point?
Okay, so I am the biggest new metal fan. I grew up during the 2000s and I was an angry wee teenager, and I was, well, I say was, am still obsessed with new metal music. Um, I feel like my entrance music, which is Here I Stay by Korn, would definitely have to be the opening. That would have to be the opening tune because it is my opening to the world. That is me, like my opening entrance to the world. So definitely would have to have that first. I feel like with some of the ups and downs we've had so far, that Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit would definitely be on there.
Sweet.
Because when you're going through a hard time, or you want a good training montage of you repeatedly just banging off the floor where you're trying to learn how to do something because you're running at it, but you're like shitting at the last second because you don't know that you can do it yet, so you just repeatedly hit off the ground until you get it right. I feel like Break Stuff would be a good tune for those moments. And thirdly, see, I feel like I'm going to have to go for another new metal one because I feel like anything else would be later on in the film, later on in the story, man. So I would probably say something by Slipknot. Potentially Psychosocial, because Psychosocial was sort of the first really big change in their appearance, really big change in their sort of music, their masks, when everybody was a bit unsure of where they were going. And I feel like that kind of suits right now. So we'll go with that.
Alright. That's a solid 3 picks right there.
Thank you very much.
Now it's time for casting. Who plays Ruby? And you can't say yourself because you're legally obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Okay. See, I've never really seen myself looking like another celebrity. So I've never really sort of been able to settle on one answer.
I mean, it could be whoever you want. The last role we had on the show picked Larry David, so...
Oh, fair dues. I mean, like, obviously it would never be a thing, but because she's obviously done it already, but like, Florence Pugh is just fantastic. Like, but I wouldn't pick her because she already played Paige, obviously.
Right.
Because, this is if that film didn't exist. But, I don't know if you've ever watched her lives or watched her TikToks or like sort of watched the wee clips that she puts up that sort of give you a better sense of who she is as a person. I just feel she was doing TikToks for a while where she was documenting her looking after a cactus. And several times she was trying to preen the cactus and be nice to it and look after it, and she stabbed herself with it and then ended up swearing at cactus. And she is such a lovely, goofy seeming person, and I really identify with that because, see, when it comes to the ring, I am fully serious. I am in there to fight. That is what is happening. Like, I have one job, that's what I'm doing. Outside of the ring, I am a massive, massive goofball. Like huge. I talk too much. I am always trying to make jokes or making silly faces or silly noises. I have ADHD as well, so like sometimes that plays into it, makes it a lot worse. So I feel like just because she seems like the same type of goofy person that I am, I would say if she hadn't already played Paige, then probably Florence Pugh, because I think that we're sort of cut from the same cloth, weirdness wise.
Alright. Well, I will absolutely take that answer. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people in your movie and who would play them?
Okay, so we mentioned my cousin Bobby earlier.
Right.
You 100% couldn't do this movie without him. He's such an integral part to that story. I don't know who I would get to play him. I kind of feel like if he was a bit, like if the actor was a bit younger, John Goodman.
Okay. You can
Like,
take CGI out.
yeah, like Bobby always had this, like, he was forever coming out with dad jokes, and like when he was serious, but then again, a bit like me, he was always a good laugh and a good time, but when stuff had to be serious, I had to be serious. And I feel like John Goodman, I mean, Scottish accent would probably be horrendous, which would be hilarious. But like, I think that he would make a really good Bobby. I think that like that would just work fantastically well. I did at one point say to Bobby, it reminded me of the dad from the Dinosaurs TV show. I don't know if that was John Goodman, but in my head it always was. That was a really old show though, so I don't know if I'm maybe doing a really outdated reference, but it was like a sort of puppet show thing with like dinosaurs, and there was like a mum, a dad, and like a wee baby in a high chair.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I always I did say to him at one point that he reminded me of that dinosaur, and I always in my head thought that was John Goodman, so that makes sense. Definitely would have to have Emily Hayden there. The first 6 months of my wrestling career after the pandemic, I fought Emily so many times, and every single time was a bit different. Every single time we had to think of something different to come at each other with. There was, at points there was a bit of animosity, because obviously when you're knocking lumps at each other, things can get said, things can happen, but we've ended up being really, really good friends no matter what happens in the ring. Like outside of the ring, we have formed that connection. So she would definitely have to be in there. I don't know who I would get to play her. I know who I could say that would make her really happy, which would be either Jenna Marbles or who I know is not an actress, but I still think she'd kill it. Or, again, not so much an actress, but Paris Hilton. Doesn't look anything like her. Hair's completely different colour. But we could make it work. We could make it work because she loves her. She loves her so much, and I'm like, we could do that. It's wrestling. We can make it whatever we want.
Absolutely.
And then also a huge part of my early training was also Jayla Dark. She's retired now, but she's still also a huge part of my life. I always refer to her as my wrestle ma. When I was a wee sort of lost wrestle baby, she was my wrestle ma. She came and showed me, because I was the only girl in our school. So there are occasions where if you're wrestling another woman, there are slight differences rather than when you're wrestling at a guy. So she originally came in to sort of work with me that way, and then really took me under her wing, calls me her Padawan. She would definitely have to be in the film. Again, I'm not sure. I'm so bad at this. I'm not sure who I would get to play her though, because she's a really unique person, and I'm trying to think who would be able to carry that, because she's got this level of utter badass to her, but then she's also got like this pure motherly loving side to her that's just like, she'll, with the same breath, she'll come up, give me a cuddle, and then put her hands either side of my head when I've done something wrong and look at me and go, "What are you?" And I say, "I don't know." And she goes, "You're an idiot sandwich." And then I'm just like, "Yeah, I know, I love you." Yeah. I mean, to be fair, what I did at the time, like, I don't remember what it was, but I do remember immediately just being like, "Oh, that was just wrong and stupid." Like, what? So, like, it was fully justified, but just, like, she was so nice about it as well. I really don't know who I would get to play her, though, because I genuinely can't think off the top of my head of someone who would be able to embody that the right way. I'm really struggling to think who. Do you know what? I'm just going to throw out a random Buffy one because I can, and I'll just say Charisma Carpenter.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I mean, in Angel, she's a much more motherly, motherly presence and a lot more like that. And then in Buffy, she was just the badass bitch queen. So like again, totally wrong age, but we're gonna go with it.
This is sounding like a fantastic movie.
Very varied cast, yeah.
And
Florence Pugh, John Goodman, and Charisma Carpenter.
And Paris Hilton.
And Paris Hilton, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get this made. Let's start production, and and you can buy the tickets now, pre-sale.
Damn straight. We'll get this funded.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you make and sell tablets.
I did. I've actually recently had to leave that job,
Okay.
but not for any bad reasons. It's literally just scheduling. Like the company's needing to work more days at the moment. I'm having to dedicate a certain amount of time to wrestling.
Right.
So I'm still supporting the company. I'm still promoting the company. I will still say, hand on heart, the best tablet that I have ever had, and that's not just because I was making it. Like, genuinely, it's the Finnick Pantry. You can find them on Etsy. They've also got an eBay store, and if you live in Scotland, they've got 130 stores in the west of Scotland. But I've had to sort of come away from the company just now. It's a bit of a shame, but yeah, I'm still talking to the company. They're still a great bunch of people, and as I will push their tablet as much as possible. Not even just because I really like them and I want the company to do well, because like genuinely Scottish tablets, like one of those things, it's like a little bit like fudge, but it's then totally nothing like fudge, and you really have to experience it for yourself. So I'm forever saying to everybody wherever I go, like, you should order online. It ships all over the world, and I love it. Especially, weirdly, if you melt it in milk, it kind of turns into like a weird hot chocolate that tastes like Scottish Karamak chocolate. That's something it's like something I'll do on a cheat day once in a blue moon, because it's like so much sugar it could possibly put you in a coma. But it's so good. So like once in a blue moon, I get a packet of tablet, I melt it in some milk on the saucepan and pour it into a cup, and it's just like, there's no chocolate in it, but it's like the best hot chocolate ever. If it was white chocolate, I suppose.
And just for our American viewers, as you said, tablet is like somewhat of a fudge. It's not
Yes.
an iPad. You're not making iPads unless there's a
No,
skill
it's
I overlooked.
yeah, no. It's a sort of crumbly. I don't know how to explain it exactly. It's like a crumbly sweet that's made with sugar, milk, butter, and condensed milk. And essentially, it's a very similar recipe to fudge, except the process is different in that you trigger crystallization. So when you bite into it, it's very crumbly, and it's very sort of smooth, but with like a kind of crystally texture. It's really hard to describe if someone's never had it, but it's really sweet, and it's creamy, and it's got this like I don't know, for me it's just this like really happy feeling when I eat it, but that might be because I grew up with it. Don't eat too much though, it will genuinely put your blood sugar up. Like it's like 70% just pure sugar.
Is there like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of wrong ways to do it, but is there a right way to make tablet?
Yes. So I'm trying to think of how to, because I can't give away too much because the company do have their own particular way of doing it, and I don't want to accidentally give away their secrets. But essentially,
way to do it. We don't want to get you in trouble.
You never know who's listening. Somebody might be a confectionery mogul who loves wrestling, and then you never know. But no, it's basically you're boiling all the ingredients together until it comes to like a boil with like big bubbles, and then you just stir the living crap out of it until it goes thick. During the process of making it, would use like a hand mixer. But yeah, you just like, once you've got it to temperature, you just beat the crap out of it. Like back in the day, like back in the old days, grannies would just have like a wooden spoon and the pot and would just be sitting in the kitchen for like literally like 20, 40 minutes, depending on how big a batch they were doing, just mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing, just to be able to get this texture of the tablet like just right.
Sounds like a
It's a labour of love, but it's worth it. What, sorry?
Sounds like a good wrestling workout.
Yeah, no, it definitely helped with the arms. Yeah, the first few times, the first few shifts, my arms were killing me at the end. Even using like an electric mixer, you're still having to like beat it with the electric mixer, so you're still like whipping it round. By the end of the day, by the time you've mixed like 40, 50 batches, your arms are just like, no, don't want to anymore. I'm not moving. Which is like bizarre because at that point when I started, like I already did regular sort of workouts, weights, things like that. So I was already a fairly strong and fit person. But see, just that like repetitive movement all day, it took me a wee while to get used to. Definitely worth it though. Like I would say by far, tablet's sort of the best Scottish sweetie you would get.
Alright. Now, have you, I know there's a restaurant in Scotland, I couldn't tell you where it was, but, have you had the deep fried Mars ball?
Yes, I have tried one. I didn't eat a full one. To be honest, that was a little step too far for me. It was very sweet, and it was a lot going on. You can get them if you ever visit in Scotland. If you're ever at Edinburgh Zoo, you can get them in the cafe at Edinburgh Zoo as well, which is where I tried mine. Very good, but I will warn you: do not bite into it when it's still really hot, because it's like the outside's like kind of hot, the inside is like lava. So like when you bite into it, because all the sugar inside's hot, like it's so bad, like it's stuck to my tongue. Like it tasted nice, but yeah, no, just not for me.
Is that the same, cafe that Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks tried it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'll need to have a wee look. It could have been. There's quite a few. I think a lot of places have started doing it. So there's a lot of places across Glasgow and Edinburgh are doing it now.
Okay.
But I'll need to have a wee look and see.
I'll have to check now too. Alright, and you are Scottish, and
Yes.
I do have to ask this for my own personal reasons. Have you ever been to Loch Ness, and have you ever seen Nessie?
So yes, I actually have family up who live on the side of Loch Ness, essentially. I have not seen Nessie, unfortunately. I did spend so much time during my summers as a child when we used to go and visit my aunt and uncle, sitting at their front window, just looking out onto the loch, just like, it's going to come soon. It's real. Nessie's going to be here soon. And everybody's like, yeah, no, Ruby, no. Like, you're not going to see it. And I'm like, yeah, well, no, I never did. I did see something at one point in the water, but I'm pretty sure it was a fish. Like, I think I caught like the tail end of a fish going back into the water, and at a young age I was like, oh, was that it? I think that was it. And everybody's like, no, Ruth, it was literally a fish. Like, Ruby, sorry, like it's literally a fish. Like, yeah, like but yeah, no, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. I would definitely recommend if you're coming over. There's so many places I would recommend, to be fair, like to go in Scotland, because even though it's a really small country, there's a lot of like really, really interesting things to look at, from cultural sites, obviously castles, to just some genuinely weird things. Like there's a place up near Fife, I think it is, where we've got fairy pools that when they're hit with the right light, they illuminate basically, and it's absolutely stunning. There's so much about Scotland to love.
Well, yeah, no. If I do ever come to Scotland, I'm getting off that plane and I'm driving straight towards Loch Ness. That's stop number one.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Wee bit of a drive, but definitely worth it.
Oh, for sure. And I was clearly you've had a sighting of it, so you know that just reaffirms my beliefs in the Loch Ness monster. It could have been a
I
fish.
think life's a
but
bit more
probably...
exciting with some belief.
Huh?
Yeah.
Alright. Now on to a controversial subject. Pineapple on
Okay.
pizza. What's your stance?
So I love pineapple on pizza. I love pineapple on pizza. I actually love pineapple in so many different things. I'm a very big fan of a sweet and sour chicken that we get over here from the Chinese restaurant. And it always has pineapple in it, and I think it's the best thing ever. Pretty much any excuse I can get to put pineapple in food, I will. I know that's going to upset so many people.
Oh, you would definitely be surprised. There are a lot of negativity towards pineapple on pizza.
I'm of the opinion, live and let live. Just because you don't like it, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Just let people like what they like. But yeah, that one seems to infuriate people. That or I've told people that I sometimes put pickles on pizza.
Ooh,
So like, like gherkin pickle slices? Sometimes when I'm having a pizza, if it's got like black olives on it, I'll either have anchovies with it or I'll have like pickle slices. And apparently that's an extremely weird thing to do.
Well, I know that one of our guests had strawberries and broccoli on their pizza.
Okay, that's weirder. But fair dues, see if I was presented with it, I'd still try it. You never know. Because, I mean, like, strawberries and balsamic vinegar work. So, might not be too much of a leap to think that it might work on pizza. Maybe.
Yeah, if it's presented to me, maybe, but like I'm not going to actively seek that out and give money for it.
Fair enough.
Alright, what's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh. So, I think... you said spirit Pokemon there, yeah?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. So, spirit Pokemon is Umbreon. I love Umbreon. And it's not even like just because I like his abilities and stuff. It is purely because he's the little goth Eevee and I love it. Like, I just identify with him.
Alright. Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
I don't actually.
T
Can I ask what it is? Like, I don't know.
Yes. T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. Because a thug can't spell. Yes.
Excellent, I love that.
Yes, we love Tracy on the show trying to keep the memory alive.
Quite right. You're doing a good job at it.
And the weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview: would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual Rock.
Yes. I think that if you can build a story around it, then you can wrestle it. I think that if given an completely non-autonomous Rock, I think that if you have a sense of humour about it, and I think if you just went for it, I think you could. Yes.
Alright, I love that.
You never know, that Rock might have been my lover and left me stone cold. You never know.
Just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
That's fantastic. See, this is one of the reasons I love wrestling, because it allows for things that are so far out of the bounds of possibility that it's just pure fantastic entertainment factor.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've heard a lot like, oh, it's not real, which like really annoys me because people are putting their body on the line. But like, neither Spider-Man, neither are movies, and I think that, see if you can make something like that work and people are interested in it, then you have won the game of wrestling, my friend. If you can sit there and wrestle a Rock for 2 weeks straight and people are really invested in it, you like, well done. Like, that is the goal.
Oh, for sure. And just more context, he didn't win the match either.
That's. I'm gonna have to go and Google this now. Like, I have to see this now. That's fantastic.
I'll send you the match. I'll send you the link.
I'm like, see in my head now, I'm trying to imagine how The Rock got the pin. Like, please send me it. I really need to see this now.
It's definitely interesting. And there is a story to it. There's a whole story to why they go wrestling.
Excellent. So you've got to have that motivation there. You've got to have that backstory, that reason for people to give a shit. Like, you need to have that there. That's just, I'm so glad that somebody actually did that and did it well. That's fantastic.
Yes. Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So I said earlier, actually, I keep sort of harkening back, but I tend to go in tangents. But I was saying earlier, like, I haven't really put a limit on where I want to end up exactly. I just know that I want to keep pushing, and I want to keep learning, and I want to keep growing, and I want to see how far I can get. Like, I've never really been a believer in like a glass ceiling, so I'm like, let's just see how far we can go. Like, if that ends up, one day potentially being one of the bigger companies, like, AEW, WWE, the dream, the thing that we all want at the end of the day, that would be, amazing. But for me, I just love being able to wrestle and being able to improve and learn and keep doing what I'm doing. So I want to keep pushing. Like I said, I want to keep going as far as I can go. I'm going to keep trying to get as many opportunities as I can get and fight as many different people as I can fight. And hopefully in 5 years, I'm doing it on as many different stages as possible.
Awesome. And what's a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Rubi Roberts is all about?
So, if you wanted to see the first ever women's hardcore match, that is on YouTube, on the CCW page. That's a good one to watch just for the fact that it was something that hadn't been seen before, and it was explosive and bloody, and Lexi Luxie's nose got broken. So, like, it's a good one to watch. But also, again, it's CCW, but my most recent match with Daisy Jenkins, the rematch that we're going to be doing in March, the original match that we had was on Dane Spotting, which will be available on YouTube very soon. So basically keep an eye on CCW's YouTube. Also, to be fair, there's no sort of one match that gives you the best view. I'm terrible at this. I'm so indecisive. But if you look up Worldwide Wrestling League or Pro 2 Wrestling, or even Rivals Wrestling, you will see me wrestling various different people and just giving it my very best. And sometimes just being a loudmouth Scottish bitch.
Well, I will find the hardcore match on YouTube, and I will put it in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. And if the Daisy Jenkins match came out by the time of this recording, I'll also put that one as well.
Excellent, thank you.
For anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to re-see it after this interview. Right.
Excellent.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Ooh, okay. Let's go.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
I'm going to say Dewdrop
Oh, sweet.
because I want to see her succeed in the world. I want to see her do so fantastic, and I think the absolute world over.
I think she went back to Piper Niven.
Yeah, she has. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Alright. Worst wrestler?
Mostly just because I don't like clowns. Doink. But it's nothing personal. I just don't like clowns.
Is there a specific version? Is it not born? The one of the other ones that I can remember? Or
What? Sorry?
is it a specific version of Doink? Because a few people have played him.
No, just the character, Doink, in general. Just that's what I'm saying. It's not personal to the wrestler. It's the gimmick. It's clowns. I just can't. Genuinely, just can't deal with it. It's like one of my few weaknesses. I really, really don't like clowns.
Okay, fair enough. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Okay, so I'm stuck between two because there's two women in WWE right now that that I want. I think would be just so much fun to get battered by. Which again is a bit boring. Piper Niven or Dewdrop, depending what you're calling her just now, but Piper Niven and Rhea Ripley. Like I feel like there's no other answer right now. Like don't get me wrong, like third place for that was Becky Lynch, but I really just want to get in the ring and wrestle with Rhea Ripley. Like that, just like she is a big, strong Amazon of a woman. I think that would be just like first of all, goth on goth hate. Like just two goths battering each other on opposite ends. Like the big, tall, strong goth, the strongish midget goth. Like let's go.
Well, there is 2 nights of WrestleMania now, so you could fight one on night one and the other on night two. Or we could just make it a triple threat.
I was gonna say we could make it a triple threat. We'll just take both of them on.
There you go.
I mean, I'll probably get the shit kicked out of me, but I'll do it. Give it my best try.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Stone Cold, 100% straight away. I get chills. See when you hear that glass break?
Oh yeah.
I get actual chills. And the amount of times as a child that I practiced the stomp down the runway, the come out entrance, and the walk down like the proper just Austin walk. So many times when I was younger. So yeah, no, 100% Austin's music.
All right. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is.
Important AF. I couldn't think what else to say there. Kayfabe is important. It's keeping it alive. It's everything, man.
All right. We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Fair enough.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Fruit.
It is indeed
Because it's too nice to be a vegetable. It tastes too good.
It's indeed a fruit. It's
I'm not actually sure because it's got the seeds on the inside, and I can never remember if seeds are meant to have, like, if vegetables are meant to have seeds on the inside or if that's fruit.
No, fruit.
I just think it. What, sorry?
Yeah, fruit is you have seeds are in fruits. That's what classifies it. Vegetable.
Oh, right, yeah, so it's a fruit.
Yeah, it's a tomato.
Yes, yeah, I was right.
Yeah. Right. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
See, now I have different opinions depending on, like, so if it's for myself, I would prefer to have as much of my butt cheek hidden as possible. But, you know, that's my own personal choice. I feel like as long as everything that needs to be covered is covered, then go forth and do what makes you comfortable. But just make sure that nothing is popping out, sliding out, spilling out, like in any direction. As long as everything's covered, then, you know, go forth and do what makes you happy.
Alright. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, but I really wish I had now. It sounds like such a good random story. No, I wish I had though. I did, however, today bring The Rock up in a college class. We were discussing natural genetic ability and how much of that is inherited from your parents versus your environment. And I went on a 15-minute rant about, like, good rant, but rant about the bloodline and The Rock and the intact, like, who came from who descended who was the first to do what, the entire thing for for like 15 minutes straight.
That's awesome.
So, bring wrestling up as much as you can in random places. It opens up a lot of weird and interesting conversations you would never have had otherwise.
Oh, for sure. And of course, that is the correct answer.
Has
And
anybody said yes?
it would have also been the correct answer.
Fair dues. I like it when there's no wrong answer.
Yes, of course there's not. Well, there's only one wrong answer, and that's the fruit or vegetable. But,
Yeah.
oh,
Cool, we got that one. We moved on. It's all good.
well, that does conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Ruby, for coming on and doing this with me.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a really good time talking with you, and hopefully we can maybe do it again in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely get you on after that Lana Austin match. Talk about all things
Yes.
that.
I can let you know how it went.
Until then, where can we find all things Ruby Roberts?
So at the moment, you can find me on Twitter under Rubi Roberts BBS. I'm on Instagram under Ruby Roberts _BBS. Ruby, remember, spelt with an I, not a Y, because I'm never asking why. And sorry, that was so cheesy. That was such a dad joke. Yeah, Facebook is Ruby Roberts and TikTok is Ruby Roberts 0.
Merchandise?
Although generally I found out, someone informed me the other day that if you just type Ruby Roberts into Google, it will start bringing all of it up for you, which I didn't know until someone informed me.
And merchandise?
Merchandise is coming this year. We're going to have some t-shirts coming out. I am working to possibly get more of these hats and get those on the go as well. You want to present your Slayerdom to the entire world on your forehead while you walk about, especially if you want to be a Slayerette, a Slayer fan. But yeah, we're going to have some merch sorted out this year, and I'll be setting up a new merch store as well. So when I get that, I'll be putting out on Twitter, across all the socials. So yeah, don't worry, I will make sure that everybody knows.
Alright. And like you said, you don't even have to go on Google, type it into your Google machine. All of the links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and
Yes.
Castbox. Simply click the link, a new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give her a damn follow.
Yep, couldn't make it any easier for you.
Yeah. And when she gets merchandise, buy a damn shirt.
Yeah. Don't want to get slayed yourself, so get the Slayers t-shirt.
Yes. Alright. Of course, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Paramount Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E on Twitter and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. You can follow me personally at JamesC993. Alright, now, Ruby, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our very special guest, Ruby Roberts, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.